Hi, welcome to our fireside chat. Today we're talking about the recently launched CIMIC Group websites on Sitecore XM Cloud and Sitecore Search. This was the first XM Cloud migration in the ANZ region. I'd like to introduce Nat Saldana, who's going to talk through what we learned and how we managed to build this site well ahead of schedule. Nat, let's start with the project's North Star. Can you give us an outline of why CIMIC decided to undertake the project, how we assisted with the business case, and ultimately how we got the green light to proceed?
Yes, we're going to be spending some time talking through all of them, but to summarize it, the main project drivers was to reduce infrastructure spend, to improve the way the content authors actually go about writing, creating, and publishing content, so to remove that friction, and the UI, to modernize the UI. It was a 2017 build. The other thing that came up was they wanted to modernize they wanted to be in a DXP that will future-proof them and enable them to not think about scale and make their experience with the digital experience platform frictionless for close to 5 years.
Thanks, Nat. It seems to me that there must have been an upgrade versus rebuild question or decision in all of this. How did that play out?
Absolutely correct. So typically, organizations, they upgrade either because they want to be on the latest version or because they are reaching towards the end of the support lifecycle. These upgrade costs can range anywhere from 30, 40, 50, all the way to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And CIMIC, we're coming to that point where they needed to upgrade. And that cost towards the upgrade is usually a sunk cost. In this case, by not upgrading and instead using that budget towards a rebuild, it only made the business case for the rebuild stronger.
And of course, it removed all of the technical debt that an upgrade would bring.
It's a good point you make, actually, Greg, because they had a lot of technical debt for CIMIC. So that means any time we had to go out and make an enhancement, it led to something else breaking on some other part of the website, mainly because the implementation was not done very well. So it was more of a upgrade. You take that money and use it for the rebuild, get rid of the technical debt, and start with a clean slate. Vanilla.
Fantastic. I imagine there were some infrastructure considerations around this as well.
By taking away that infrastructure side and putting it on the SaaS side, which is Sitecore XM Cloud, where Sitecore would actually manage and host it for us through the SaaS environment, there was a lot of savings had. Definitely in the six figures, but I just can't tell you the exact number.
It's certainly contributed to the green lighting of the concept, right? I'm sure.
Absolutely, because the savings that we were getting on the infrastructure side, we could use that for something else from an enhancements perspective or from a mini project, or we're looking at something more aspirational, which will give us a better ROI. And this was the second reason why the business case looked pretty strong.
Okay, that's awesome. And one of the other considerations that we come across all of the time is quite simply time to value. And that's how long it takes a publishing team to get a bit of content from soup to nuts, if you like.
One of the big problems CIMIC had with Sitecore XP was the content authoring experience. The previous instance was just not built right. So they depended on the content editor way more than they needed to. Took to create and publish content was way greater than an hour. And many content authors were just disillusioned by the experience they were getting.
Just frustrated by the steps they had to undertake. Yeah.
Absolutely right. They want to be able to just drag, drop, create the template, put the components in and just publish. They don't want to have to come to us as the agency and say, can you do it for me? Thankfully, in this case, we just did a good job building XM Cloud. So but at that point, we couldn't say that because we haven't yet built it for them. So we were just trying to compare and say, we will make that friction go away. We will make you fall in love with the content authoring side if you were to go down to a better content editor. In this case, it's called Pages.
Let's pivot to site performance and security. I'm sure those were issues that were also raised as well.
Yes, so this came down to the question about headless or not headless. Now with Sitecore XM Cloud, you have no other option but to go headless because all SaaS products from a CMS perspective are headless. So we have to basically guide or inform, educate CIMIC in terms of how much more they are going to get from a performance and security perspective. Now, if you have to talk about performance, we had to say, look, it's not just speed, but also SEO. An example of it would be, I think the way we put it to them was headless CMS platforms. They can deliver new content directly to your target audiences instead of actually routing them through a server like it's done currently. The benefit of this, we can accelerate the transfer and rendering speeds, better customer experience because of this for your end users. And that means a positive SEO impact. How? Because page load times is a direct contributor to the search engine ranking factor. This was just one of the things. We went through a few others. Security. CIMIC's main goal for picking Psycho initially was not personalization. Personalization was one of the top 3, but the top one was security. They wanted a platform that would be at the top of the line when it comes to the security side of things for their internal IT team. And headless SaaS, but mainly headless, gives you even better security than on-prem. How so? Because the decoupled nature of the headless CMS, it makes it less vulnerable to attacks targeting the front-end presentation layer. So even if you have a bad actor that would compromise the content database, they would not be able to access the content publishing platform. And they would find it a heck of a lot more difficult to take the website or the app or whatever it is offline. And that was one of the primary factors as well that we used to say this is the business case to move to a headless and headless SaaS.
One of the last things I want to talk to you about before we really talk about why they chose Sitecore is that brands like CIMIC have a ton of websites and a ton of sub-brands. So they have a real need to spin up new websites, to spin up new components. How was that impacted by the move to XM Cloud?
Well, before the rebuild, anytime we needed to, say, build a new functionality, we needed to use the code base that the websites were currently built on. And when it's built poorly, any new improvements would impact a part of the website that you never thought would get impacted. So this is common in any CMS if it's built poorly. It's not just an enterprise grade CMS. Any CMS that's been built poor, you'll have issues when you're trying to build new functionality. So that means you spend a heck of a lot more time and money fixing bugs. With CIMIC, we knew that they will need a heck of a lot more websites in the future. It's 13 as part of this project, and they will have more websites coming. Could be 5, 10, 15, whatever it is, over the next 1 year, 2 years. In this case, we wanted to spend as little time and money building them because we would have already built a design system and a component library.
This segues into UI and design systems. So let's look at that for a moment. I imagine the implementation of a reasonable design system and an updated UI meant that a lot of that look and feel might be themable and reusable as well.
Correct. Theming was one of the main drivers from a rebuild perspective to say, hey, I have a bunch of companies, operating companies under CIMIC. They would need to look different from a brand guidelines perspective, but we still need to have the same shared component library. Now, in 6 months' time, if we feel that I want to change this component, I don't want it to be right side, I want it to be on the left, or I want it to be central. I need to have that ability without having to come to you as the developer. And that's what we did in terms of the component library. So we built the component library, created 0 to 6 variants. Some components had 1, some components had 6, some components had no variants. And with this, we are trying to reduce the amount of dependency they have on us. So that means the full front end needed to be built from scratch. We wanted to create the design system, like I said, with multiple variants, so that their internal team can do more. So we actually put that in the business case as well to say your dependency on your partner would reduce. That means you'll save more time and money.
That's fantastic. So let's finish part 1 with why it is that Sitecore got the green light within CIMIC, and then just to let everybody know, we'll have a part 2 to this video where we talk very heavily on the outcomes. Basically, why Sitecore?
Awesome. So the decision to pick Sitecore was not an easy decision. Like I'm going to be flat out honest on that one. The reasons for that is because Sitecore XM Cloud, the SaaS side, it was the first enterprise grade SaaS CMS in the region. because this is a big project for CIMIC and they're doing it after 5 years, they would have vetted Sitecore against good technologies out there like Adobe, Kentico, Optimizely, Drupal, Acquia, etc.
Everybody was in the ring.
Absolutely correct. Codehouse vouched for the build quality in Sitecore. We basically guaranteed that everything Sitecore's promised as a CMS, as an experience platform, we will guarantee it as your partner. And that basically won it for them. The fact that we would guarantee a good project, a good build, we would guarantee an on budget, on time project.
We really put our skin in the game there, and we might just finish this on that on time, on budget thing. I think there was some tremendous news about, the delivery of the project.
Yes, the project went live on budget, way ahead of schedule, 6 months, and that prompted us.
Wait! Did you say 6 months ahead of schedule?
Yes. So initially in the plan, we assumed that we would want to go live at a particular date in 2024. But we then saw that we can. I'm coming into things that are more on the outcomes from part 2. Yes, it went 6 months ahead of schedule, and it was so successful. We are contemplating actually putting this up for the Sitecore Awards that are coming up in the next couple of months. I think announcements will be made for, hey, if you want to actually go out and nominate your customer and a particular project, please do. So we will be going to CIMIC very soon, asking them if we can nominate them for this award.
For a Sitecore Experience Award for 2024.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Hey, that's a great way to end part 1. Nat, thank you so much. And anybody who's interested in seeing how this all played out, and I guess over the long term how it played out for the Experience Award, please look at parts 2 and 3 of this video series. Thank you very much, everybody. Talk soon.